LockedIn fans, Beetle Bailey with LockedIn Sports here. Today we have an awesome guest with us, an MVP, I should say an all-time Ironman for 12 games and Four Tough Player nominee. He's currently the Orlando Predators head coach of the National Arena League. How you doing, Coach Higgins?
Good. How you doing today? I'm doing well.
Great. I want to get into a little bit since I guess training camp has started this week. Season's coming up very shortly here. Give us just maybe a little bit of quick background of your maybe college playing, coaching, and then up to maybe a little bit to the Predators.
All right. Yeah, no problem. I'm a graduate of Ithaca College. We played for national championship back in '94, but last football season was '96, some time ago. Had a great team up there and a great group of guys. I was able to do some things, be an All-American, be all-time leading receiver when I graduated. Got out of college and coached there the first year. Was in arena football basically up until 2005 as a player, where I retired up in Albany, which you're really familiar with, being up in the Northeast.
Right.
And then I coordinated in 06 and then coordinated again a few years there up until 09, special teams, coached quarterbacks a couple times, defensive backs, and wide receivers there. And I believe it was 09. So then from there, just moved down here to Florida, followed some other ventures and into some other experiences, so to speak, for employment, and got back into arena football around 2019. And then obviously we had the COVID year in 20 and
right.
Got back in 21. And here I am, the head coach in 22. So let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season. You guys did pretty good last year. I guess coming out now with the new Ironman rules, like I said, we're going to get into a little bit of training camp. What coaches do you have that have this year that are going to help you maybe with the Ironman rules?
Yeah, they're all going to help me. I just recently hired a coach Jabari Dunham, who played at Bethune-Cookman as a wide receiver coach, and he's a really, really good young, experienced coach, if that's a way to say it. And on the offensive side of the ball, I have Coach Marcus Manuel Sr., who was here before. He's also the director of player personnel. He runs our player development program, and he's experienced and versed with the offensive line. So he's going to help me there. And actually a guy that I've got by name of Kevin Moretis, he actually runs Defense University, if you've seen that. And he's actually helping me on the offensive side of the ball as well. But you specifically asked for the guys that are going to help me with the Ironman. So
yeah, it's kind of unique, I guess, with I know the Ironman rules were there before, and there's a lot to manage.
Right.
I know there's the offense coaches on the field sometimes, the defense coaches on the field, other things. Is somebody going to be there to kind of manage and make sure, okay, we've got the right guys to help?
Yeah, absolutely. So I left the last two guys actually were former teammates of mine on a championship team for, by the way, our commissioner, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But anyway, that was down at Cape Fear. But Kenton Rickerson is our defensive backs coach, and he's also a former defensive specialist. So he's going to head the secondary on the other side. And EJ Burt, he's director of player engagement, and he's also the defensive coordinator. So he will run the front, and of course the linebackers, and call the defense, and he's got his help. So EJ will kind of help me manage the substitutions. It's really not going to be as hard for us. We did it as coaches playing with 19 players, then we had to coach it like that as well. And now there's a 21-man roster. But it is definitely something that needs to be tracked, and you need to designate certain positions, and I'm sure you're going to want to have some maybe some questions and some definitive answers about that, but I can give you those. But anyway, those two guys will really help me with those substitutions. And Kenton, of course, is going to work with the special teams. So those kind of go hand in hand, because when you're making those substitutions, it depends on what the time is, what the situation is. And of course, if you're on kickoff, kick return, whatever it may be. So that's really it. But yeah, it's an interesting game. It's a game that's a lot of fun, game that we all played and have been, we should be well versed at, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes.
Right. I'm sure you've been through many training camps. Have you had to rearrange your training camp procedures now because of the Ironman rules?
Not really. I think you just more kind of, I'm big on details and starting it from the jump. So we're just starting it as we practice everything and play everything like it's a game situation.
That's what I was saying. I guess you do when you do the game situation, part of the training camp or whatever.
Yeah.
You go through some of those drills of getting the players.
Yeah. So with that being said, everything that we're doing in our practices are relating exactly to Ironman football within the situations that present themselves. So in all that it really is just to make sure that guys are in shape and they can go from offense to defense and to special teams and those types of things. And you just cover the little rules and nuances just so that, you got guys prepared. But yeah, I mean, you don't change the schedule, so to speak, as far as when you're practicing or what you're doing, but you change it. Because if you can envision it like this for the people that might be new out there, if you follow hockey, it's kind of like having line changes. That's the best way that I can explain it.
Right.
But only with your line changes. And I don't know much about hockey, but I do see the line changes.
Yeah.
You've got two offensive specialists that you designate that only play offense. And then you have two defensive specialists that you designate that only play defense. So the other six play both sides. Basically, that's the easiest way to say it. And then, of course, you have your specialists, your special team specialist. So you designate those, which can get kind of tricky. So we're going to see how that goes. And if something happens and a two-way player that doesn't start a quarter, he doesn't start the quarter. If he comes out of the game, he's what's called dead. He can't go back in. And if he goes in, there's a penalty, of course. So if someone ends up being dead, and then you can create, if you know anything about arena football, it's all about matchups. So if a player is dead, depending on what that player's strengths are, you can exploit it and take advantage of it. And that's where the strategy comes into play.
How many guys did you bring into training camp this year?
36 with our international player. That's the cap. Technically it's 35, but you're allowed that international player to make it 36. And, as you make certain transactions or whatnot, guys will come in and guys will come out and, things like that. But you cut down to 26 with the international or 25 if you didn't. That'll be coming next Saturday. So it's coming upon us pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, I was just kind of getting at that to see how many, I guess you have a number of returning players. Anybody that's, I guess you don't want to single anybody out in particular that's doing well at camp or maybe surprise you or maybe just want to run through some of the returning players. And
I mean, I always talk about the vets that come back. So, on our team, we had a good handful of vets coming back between Freddie Booth Lloyd and Josh Jenkins and Brandon Fuentes. And, Matt Parsons was here as well. And you've got some other guys like Desiree Johnson that didn't get a lot of time last year, but was on the football field previously and for the Predators. And you got Brian Foy Jr., guys like him, Shaquille Holiness. These core guys, basically, in addition to, Daquan Murray and Darius Tolbert, really have, I guess, solidified the core and the foundation of what our football team has, both in the skill set of, I guess, offensive line play and some skill guys, but then you got guys like Paris Mack that joined us late. So I consider him, I say late last year, consider him, kind of like a core guy as well coming back. Those guys have really done some good things as far as leadership and on the football field. So we're looking for that core, obviously to be a big part of the rest of what the culture is. So I can just talk about a few guys that came from other teams. We've got Keewan Alford, who was a second team linebacker last year with Columbus. And we also took Lonnie Outlaw, who was also, on that Columbus team. So when you take guys like that and sprinkle them in, and you can't forget about a guy like Larry Beavers from Jersey as a wide receiver, and oh, by the way, Darren Speedy Clark, who's been around for a while.
We talked with him a couple weeks ago. He had some great things to say about you.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are all great guys. We want great people first, and football players second. And I don't mean to say that like they're good players and not good people. But those are kind of like the veteran guys that we picked up. But then you have like Daryl Myers, who's another 6'7" guy to go with Lonnie Outlaw. Daryl Myers played, for Albany last year, got experience, has a ring, did real well on that football program in terms of getting his first year and getting experience. So I really think that those guys will add a lot, and we're looking to them, in terms of leadership, like you're talking about practice structure and how that is, because if you come to a Jeff Higgins practice, it's work. So it's work. So with that being said, they've done a real good job of buying in, and we manage them appropriately as far as, their legs and things like that. But those are kind of the veterans around the league and within the Predator organization that I think can add a lot of things to our football program this year.
Yeah, I've only been into the arena football for the last 3 or 4 years, basically as a photographer. So I'm learning a lot here. And just one thing I've noticed on the guys is, they're people. After the games, even during the games, they're talking to the fans right around when they're kicking off and things like that. So it's great to have those kind of players that love the game. They're there for the game and so much action.
Absolutely. I mean, another guy, and I think I mentioned him, and if I didn't, it wasn't because I oversaw him as one of our, leaders of our offense, of course, last year, Daquan Murray. And you say that because as soon as you said that, and of course, I did talk about Brandon and Josh, but when you talk about guys that are, I don't want to say fan favorites because I think all of them are fan favorites,
right.
But these guys have a lot of energy, a lot of passion. They get very interactive with the outside as far as the community, but also on the football field, whether it's the kids or both sides screaming at them or for them. They're very interactive, and, it just, that's what I want to be anyway. I want to be a part of it, and still, I guess, have that high energy. And those guys do a good job of representing our football team, and of course their head coach. So I'm happy to have them. I can't wait to see it, and it's going to be a real exciting year.
And that's another thing I've found talking to these guys here. We've been doing with LockedIn Sports here. We've been interviewing a lot of the players, and they give back. They also have training camps. They have their own, their own businesses, like where they train, give back to the younger athletes and even some of the pro athletes. And I think I understand you have also, your own like training business or
it's funny you mentioned that, because a lot of us, we're all athletes. Okay, I've been doing it for a lot longer, but we're all the same. You mentioned that, and it's funny. I think Darren Clark, I think he might be doing some of that as well. Josh Jenkins trains a lot of people in here, and what's interesting, and I'll say it like this. I've worked for several of our guys and training them in the off season as wide receivers and some of the quarterbacks, but even me, when I was training, you would have somebody train you just because from a motivational standpoint, it's easier, right? So some of those guys, I'm training them, or they've had other people that they work with and they train with them. I know Brandon Fuentes has come out as an example. He's trained with me. He's trained with some of the trainers in the industry that are in the local area, like in Orlando, that those guys train some other pros. So we're just a bunch of athletes at the end of the day. I'm just trying to stay young and keep myself in shape.
I'm probably dating myself, but we really didn't have the people like that back when I went to
it wasn't like that.
College. To have we looked up to players and stuff, but to be able to go out to a training camp, where you got an NFL player or an NAL, National League player there, kids, just look up. And I go out to some of these places now and do photography, and just the look on some of the kids' faces and just that little bit of extra oomph that you guys give them, it just may propel somebody to do, a little better.
It's funny you say that, because if you go on my training page at Coach Higgs Training or whatnot, you'll see I have a bunch of people with like little kids. I'll train them to get them together, this and that. Well, there's a couple of our guys that I actually have. I don't put them on the Instagram page, but they fly here. They're in the NFL. Actually, defensive backs, believe it or not, that now have trained with these guys, these wide receivers like Lonnie or whoever on our football team. And you just put them together. At the end of the day, we're all just players or athletes or coaches. But I got a couple guys that I work with in Georgia that that's where they're from. When I was in Macon coaching there, and they're in the league now, so they fly down and they'll get some receiver work or DB, and they work with some of these guys. But just getting them together and getting to compete, it's all about it. And compete, it means to strive with, not against. So it's good to get them together and see. And I'm just fortunate enough to be a part of it and to say I worked with them.
Great. Well, let's get the last thing here. We'll get a little bit into the league, I guess, into the season. You got the first game coming up with San Antonio. I know you probably know some of the players in that on the rosters. Is there anything, I mean, I know you're probably excited now, guys are going out of the West a little bit instead of traveling up the coast. How's it going to be going out that way?
Oh, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, we're going to a new arena that no one has any film on. No one knows anything about the staff. Of course, you look at that and you see where people have been and you look to see what they've done. And usually people do what they've done. So that's water under the bridge. We're ready for that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's the players and it's the chess game. So it's going to be new to everybody, meaning the staff that's there that may not have coached arena football, but really, you know, following rules and putting people together to make plays. It's what it's all about. And that's what makes it interesting to play those, you know, chess games, so to speak, during the game of arena football. So, you know, our guys are just kind of excited about just playing football again. You know, the way that our mentality is it's the next one that's the only one that matters. You can't win them all till you win your first one. I mean, these are all cliche sayings, but I use them every single day. And really, we're not looking forward to anything right now other than tomorrow. So I'm not looking ahead to San Antonio. We're trying to put together a team right now that's best for our season. And we just so happen to play, you know, San Antonio on Saturday the 23rd. So that's what happens. When we get to that point, we'll be ready. And we're going to have higher energy and we're going to play the football game. And hopefully those guys are looking forward to a real competitive ball team because that's what we're going to be.
And I think that's what happened, I guess, with the expansion of the NAL. I think it's great for the league, putting a team out there, and hopefully that will help grow the league a little bit. Noticed that there was something somebody posted out here about there's different tiers when it comes to the football. There's like the NFL and the CFL.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, let's just be real. It all comes down to what's called money, finances. So you've got the NFL, right? And there's really nothing else but the NFL. I mean, that is what there is. And so I even tell our guys, if you're going to try to look at yourself and want to emulate or be like something, it's the NFL. So this is my NFL, so to speak. But here you go. So after that, you get the CFL, right? The CFL is the next league after that. And then you've got some leagues that I hope make it, but then you've got whatever comes in, whether it's the USFL and the XFL. Yeah. Under that, so to speak, when they talk about the tiers, you've got our league. I mean, we're the top tier arena football league that there is. We've got the best talent, the best coaches. Sure, there's other players in those other leagues, the IFL or CIF or whatever the leagues are that could definitely play here. But just from a standpoint of being able to pay the players more, being able to play in better arenas, or I shouldn't say better arenas, but maybe more costly arenas, I guess, in bigger cities or whatever, you know, however you state it. The NAL is the top, and it's only getting better. We're not having teams come in and if they can't support what they're supposed to do, you know, gracefully, they'll be asked to leave, and we'll give people a chance to come in. But I like that because if you're going to compete in our league, you got to do it professionally. Right. And that's the way it should be in my eyes. So I think the commissioner's doing a great job. I think the league is doing a good job. I'd rather have 6 teams that do it right than 16 and have 10 do it wrong. All right. We'll grow. There's probably a team out west that might join us soon. You never know, right?
Yeah. Well, with the pandemic, pandemic last year and the year before, whatever, that might have held it down a little bit. But I just wanted to get the last thing then with your second game is going to be down or up in Carolina.
What did you say? What do we play?
You're going to be the second game was Carolina.
We play Carolina. Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of excited because it'll be my first arena game in a year or so. I'll be down. I was up with New Jersey last year covering the flight. We're going to be taking a trip down to see the Carolina game, opening game, and I guess you guys will be up there. So looking forward to meeting in person and maybe talking a little bit. And,
Yeah, they got a good ball club up there. They got some guys that were here before, guys that I got to coach. And I don't know everybody that's up there, but I know that DJ Myers is up there, was a really good ball player, wide receiver. I know that Donovan Raspberry is up there. I know that we have one of our former defensive specialists that's up there, Paige. But other than that, I know that Coach Rez has got a good program and runs a good program up there.
I got to know him pretty well, being a fellow Marine. So I've been out to a couple of tryouts and stuff. So we've talked a little bit. So kind of two-pronged, thing here. Get down and see a game down there. A little different atmosphere.
Yeah, I've got a military family, so I respect it and thank you for your services. And as well, my father's a Marine. Everybody asks me if I'm military, and nope, wasn't cut out for it. So I might have some little OCD things about me that might make me think that I'm military, but no. Anyway, it's going to be a good ball team up there, and they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, because and then you got the third match there back at home for your opener with Albany. So
who do we play? Albany. Oh, we play them too. Okay.
Yeah, then you got them at home. So
all right, I guess.
I know.
Anyway, I mean, we'll play Albany when they come, and we'll be ready to go. We got Daryl Myers that plays against them. He's probably going to be looking forward to that game.
There's no slouches in the NAL.
Well. What's that?
There's no slouches in the NAL.
Absolutely not. I say this when you talk about tiers, it's like I call it the black and blue league. I mean, the old black and blue division, they would say in the NFL, it's the NFC beast, however way you want to put it. Everybody's got a pretty good story and a pretty good, you're not even mentioning Sia Burley, in Jacksonville. You're not mentioning Jason Gibson in Columbus. It's going to be a definite dogfight the whole season long.
Right. Well, last thing, do you got any words for the Predator fans out there coming up here for the season?
I can tell you, if you haven't gotten your season tickets, I would definitely go ahead and get some rather quickly. Not that they're going to run out. We do have a 20,000 person arena at the Amway Center, the beautiful Amway, but the lower bowls are running out. They're filling up with 100%, and I think they're just about gone. So if you're looking to do that, go ahead. But if you can't tell by, what we put on the field last year and what Coach Bennett has done, and we've kind of, built on that. We've learned a lot from him and all the, the staff that was together. We're kind of, trying to add to that and build to this atmosphere that the Predator Nation has always had and the Jungle's always provided. So you're going to have a high energy football team. We're going to have a lot of football fun, so to speak, and we're going to be very interactive. So if you're looking for some high energy, come on and see us. We'd love to see you. We're all about you here in the Jungle. So I'm just proud to be a part of it, and I'm ready to go. So check it out. We'll see what happens, and I can't wait to see you out there.
Great. Yeah, we with Locked-In fans here. We're glad to have you. Thank you for stopping here and sitting down with us and talking for a little while to give us a little insight on the land of Predators, and we're going to get everybody there.
I appreciate it, man. We're ready to go. It's going to be a great season.
Well, take care, Coach, and hopefully talk to you in a couple weeks here.
Thank you.